What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is going to be all about growing your glutes. This is the type of video that I wish I would have landed on like 8 years ago or 9 years ago when I started in the gym and just knew that I wanted to grow my glutes but didn't know where to start. You're going to get all that information in today's video, so I hope you enjoy it. As always, if you have questions afterwards, guys, leave them in the comments and I'll make sure to be active there later. I'm also going to bring you through my holy grail glute workout. I have a big lower body session planned, so I'm going to bring you through that afterwards. But I do think sitting down, having a chat and giving you my top tips will be a good place to start before you ever even get into the gym. There are things we need to talk about when it comes to growing your glutes. So let's get into it. If you've been researching anything to do with muscle growth, you're going to see the words progressive overload come up time and time again. And for a lot of people, they think that progressive overload just means increasing your weight when you're training, adding more weights to the bar or lifting heavier dumbbells every time you're there. And that actually isn't the full truth. Adding weights is definitely a form of progressive overload, but there are other ways to achieve it as well. And especially when you're getting to the tougher sessions where you feel like you can't lift any heavier, these are different ways that you can apply progressive overload to your workouts. When it comes to growing any muscle group in the gym, you need to be doing progressive overload. You need to be adding more weights or increasing your reps or reducing your rest periods or increasing your time under tension in order to achieve that hypertrophy. Your muscles aren't going to grow if you go to the gym every week and do the same weight every single time. You're not giving it any stimulus to grow. So just remember to keep that in mind. If you feel like you're doing the workouts but you're not getting the results, check your logbook, write down your workouts and track everything to make sure that you're achieving progressive overload. Okay, now that progressive overload is out of the way, let's speak about your calories and your protein. You could literally be training like an Olympian, but if you're not eating enough calories and protein, then it's just going to go to waste. So before you ever even go to the gym, you need to make sure that you're in a calorie surplus if you want to grow muscle in your glutes or if you want to grow muscle anywhere. You can technically grow muscle at maintenance, but it's just going to take a lot longer and a lot more work. And this is a discussion that I have with my own clients a lot because it's not always easy to commit to a growing phase. It's as uncomfortable as cutting, if you ask me. And I do get a lot of girls that come to me that want to lose weight and grow their glutes. Usually, this isn't for everyone, but usually I recommend get to a body fat percentage that you're happy with and then gradually build from there if your long-term goal is to get that kind of snatched look but with bigger glutes. Any girls that you look at online that have these big glutes and abs and seem to have it all, trust me when I say the majority of them have gone through bulks and cuts and bulks and cuts to get there and then eventually probably get to a stage where you just maintain that. At the start of my own fitness journey, I did lots of bulking and cutting and bulking and cutting. And now, to be fair, I don't really bulk or cut at all right now. I've just been kind of sitting at the same weight for a while, but that's how I achieved the physique that I have, and that is how other like fitness influencers achieve that kind of shape in their physique. So if you're unsure whether you want to bulk or cut, if you want to get toned but grow your glutes, my advice, as I mentioned, get to a body fat percentage that you're happy with first and then gradually build from there. And don't be afraid of the bulk. Commit to it. Trust me, it is so worth it long term. It's a few weeks or maybe a few months of feeling slightly uncomfortable and really pushing yourself. And when you cut back again and get to a place where you want to maintain, that is where the magic happens. Like that's where amazing physiques are built. It's in the building phase. So that's obviously your calories. When it comes to your protein is made of amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of any growth that happens in your muscles. There are lots of different recommendations online of how much protein you should be eating. My personal recommendation will be a minimum of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So you're eating a high protein diet, your muscles are getting enough protein to grow, and your overall calorie goal has to be at least, I would say, 200 to 300 calories above maintenance in order to grow new tissue. Whenever any of my own clients want to go into a building phase, I always make sure to do it really gradually and really slowly to avoid any like unnecessary fat gain along the way. You are going to gain some body fat when you're building. That is inevitable, but I think managing that through your calories is definitely achievable if you have the right support and if you know what you're doing. You don't want to just go into it, 1,000 calories over maintenance and like just go crazy at the start. I definitely do think it's better to build it up gradually. Okay, my third bit of advice is to really have a look at your workout intensity. You can have the right program, you can be eating the right amount of calories and protein, you could be ticking all the boxes, but if you're not truly pushing yourself in your workouts, it's going to show in your progress. Building muscle is really hard. Like, you need to push your body out of its comfort zone for it to have a reason to grow new tissue. So one bit of advice for this that I do myself, I'll always record my top working set on my leg days to make sure that I'm truly pushing myself. There are times where I feel like I'm not progressing or I think I'm working hard until I record some of my workouts and I'm like, okay, I had 20% more to give in that set. You need to make sure that you're truly pushing yourself. You need to be honest with yourself. Are you leaving the gym truly after giving it your all, or are you leaving after just kind of ticking it off that you went? If your goal is to grow your glutes, you need to truly be pushing yourself beyond. I do recommend training to failure, not for every single set of every single workout, but in your top set, especially with your compound movements, you should be really questioning your life at the end of your set. You should feel like your tank is empty after your workout if your main goal is to grow the glutes. Your last 3 reps at least should feel really uncomfortable. You should be pushing beyond your comfort zone, but with good form. You never want to compromise your form when you're pushing the weight. If you do find that you can't maintain your form, then reduce the reps or else reduce the weight to get the same amount of reps. If you feel like you're doing everything right and not getting the results, have a sit down with yourself and speak to yourself. Am I truly pushing myself in my workouts, or am I just kind of going through the motions? I do this with myself every few months. If I feel like I'm not enjoying my workouts, or if I feel like I'm not progressing, I will have that conversation with myself, and it's always good to call yourself out a bit, you know? I read this quote the other day that said, to fall in love with the result and not the process is to guarantee disappointment. I think it was James Clear. That really just like hit for me, because it's so true, especially when it comes to your fitness journey. If you're only in love with the idea of the end result, and if you don't actually romanticize the training and the meal prep and all the little bits in between to get there, then you're going to end up disappointed. You're going to hate it. It's going to feel like a chore. So remember that, like any bit of advice that I'm giving in today's video, it's great to have the advice, but romanticize it. Try and learn to truly enjoy the process of becoming, because it does make a huge difference. And it also means that when you do achieve your results and that goal that you've set out, you're going to be able to maintain it, because it's just going to be part of who you are. You're going to be the type of person that enjoys working out and enjoys working on themselves. I actually screenshotted that quote and I'm going to put it as my wallpaper, because it's a good reminder to not get too caught up in the result and just enjoy everything in between. And my last point before we get into the workout is all about staying consistent. It's one thing to commit to a growing phase and then decide after 4 weeks that actually you don't want to do this anymore. You have a girls' trip coming up, or you booked a holiday and now you'd rather focus on fat loss. You can't really do that when it comes to truly committing to a growing phase. It's not the same as going into a cut and maybe dropping body fat in 4 weeks. You can't really do that when it comes to growing your glutes. You need to truly commit to 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, if not longer. Like, the longer you commit to the growing phase, the better the results are going to be. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have life events in between where, okay, you might not be feeling your leanest, but it's about the long-term goal. And having more muscle will lead to you having a longer, healthier life. It's not all about being lean all the time. More muscle, especially for us women, it's the best thing we could do for our metabolic health and for longevity. You need to stay consistent with it. You need to set the goal, set the end date if you need to with your coach, and have tunnel vision with it, because there will be stages where it gets uncomfortable or where you'd rather just maintain or cut in between. But you need to be in it for the long game, and you need to stay consistent with that intensity, with your sleep, with your recovery, and with your food. Anyway, I'm going to have my pre-workout meal now, and I will catch you at the gym to bring you through my full workout. Okay guys, it is just me and my tripod for today's workout, so it's going to be no cinematic kind of cool shots, but it's going to be clear and concise, and I'm going to bring you through all of the exercises. As usual, I'm actually going to be taking 2 energy and focus because I need them today. I've been a little bit run down over the last few days, and this is my first day back, and I just need the caffeine today. So I'm going to take 2 of these, and in about 15-20 minutes these will kick in. I'm going to do my warm-ups and get into the workout. Also, I used a new retinol cream, like an under eye cream last night. What's going on here? it feels very puffy, like my eyes, especially my eyelids and like under here feels very puffy. I think I might have had like a bit of a reaction to the retinol. My skin is really sensitive, so I'm not surprised, but looks like I've been crying. I haven't been crying. It's actually just a new under eye cream. She's looking very puffy. We're going to ignore that and get into the workout. Okay guys, we are starting today's leg day with a warm-up, of course. I always do banded warm-ups before I get into any heavy lifting. I also did 10 minutes on the treadmill and then straight into my banded work. So I'm focusing on warming up the quads, the glutes, and my hips and knees as well to avoid any injury. And I'm also practicing some mind to muscle connection in my warm-ups too. This is like my moment to properly get in the zone, think about the muscle groups that I'm really going to be working, practice the mind to muscle connection, because that's really going to come in handy once we get into our heavier sets in our workout. And we're starting off with my absolute favourite exercise, the hip thrust. If you want to grow your glutes and if you're not hip thrusting, then what are you doing? Seriously, it's the best movement ever for glute growth. I always start with a compound. You want to keep your chin tucked, knees over ankles. You want to go heavy on this. Don't hold back when it comes to your weight on this movement. Compounds are meant to be heavy, so really, really push yourself on this one. It is an absolute effort to set up the hip thrust, I know, but trust me, it's worth it. You don't want to leave the hip thrust towards the end of a workout because this is a compound. As I mentioned, this is going to be a tiring movement, so I like placing this at the start or near the start of a workout at least. I didn't hit my usual numbers in today's workout, but I was still quite happy considering I wasn't feeling the best. Next up, we have the RDL, which is another absolute favourite for me. To make this more glute focused, you want to have a little bit of a bend in the knee. When you're going down, you don't need to fully extend to the bottom and get the dumbbells to your ankles. Halfway down the calf is plenty. Again, practicing the mind to muscle connection. No need to squeeze the glutes at the top. That's not going to load your glutes anymore. Make sure you're not moving your head around too much or looking at yourself in the mirror. You want to have a neutral spine and your neck in line with the rest of your back. This movement is amazing for getting a good stretch in the glutes, so I'm always going to include this on a glute focused leg day. Okay, we're on to the movement that I hate and love the most, and that is walking lunges. I think anyone that goes to the gym knows how terrible these feel, but they also feel amazing because afterwards my glutes are always on fire. You could potentially swap the walking lunges for a step up. I love a unilateral movement. Any single leg movement is great because it's easier to practice your mind to muscle connection. And if you have any muscular imbalances on either side, this will help balance things out. You'll be able to see if one leg is stronger than the other, for example. I did 3 sets of these, and honestly by the end of it, I could have clocked out then, but we're not done yet. Now we are on to our back extensions, which is a movement that I sometimes feel is overlooked when it comes to targeting your glutes. I've been including these for the last at least 12 months in my program, and I think they've made a huge difference to my glute growth. Absolutely love this movement. Again, you want to have a slight bend in the knee for this. Point your toes ever so slightly outwards and really focus on the mind to muscle connection again. You could use a plate, you could use a dumbbell, you could use a bar to load the weight on this, but even if you just want to start with body weight on this, it is a tough movement. I'm a little bit too short for this machine, so I put 2 plates down, and that made the difference for me to be nice and secure and be able to bend over fully at the full stretch of my glute on this machine. So sometimes short girls need to adjust things ever so slightly. Don't be afraid to play around to make sure that it feels comfortable for you. And last but not least in this workout, we have the glute kickback. I love pointing my toe slightly outwards on this again. I feel like I connect with my glutes a lot better. I feel nice and stable and secure holding onto the machine. A slight bend forward again to get a stretch in the glutes. This is a movement where you're not going to be lifting super heavy. It's not like the hip thrust where you're going to be loading the weight, but that doesn't mean you can't progressively overload on it. I'm always going to aim for higher reps on a movement like the glute kickback. So I usually do between 12 to 15 reps on this and 3 sets, and my glutes were absolutely on fire. And that is the workout done, guys. I'm doing this clip on my iPhone, if you can't tell, because my battery on my camera was on 1% for the last 2 exercises. The anxiety was through the roof because I really didn't want to have to repeat that workout for YouTube. It was deadly, but I'm feeling amazing. As I mentioned, it wasn't my best performance because after I filmed the first half of this video, I knew that there was something happening in my throat, and that evening I was just so sick, and the next day, so it's been like 2 days since I've been to the gym. My first day back, not my best performance, but I'm still quite happy with even just getting there today and doing my best. And I wasn't as weak as what I thought I'd be. think it was probably down to the energy and focus as well. And when I was sick, I made sure to still eat my meals and have plenty of fruit and vegetables. So I think that definitely stood to me for that workout. I'm feeling so much better now. I actually don't know if there's any better feeling than like firstly dragging yourself to the gym after a few days off, not wanting to be there in the first place, right? And then you get your workout done and you feel unstoppable. It happens every single time. It's just like so predictable. And I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you want to see more content like this, then let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.